Oh, good morning!
Morning! Welcome to TOC. Welcome to TOC.
Welcome to TOC. What time is it?
4 a.m. No, it's not. Full confession, full disclosure, it's 5 o'clock at night. We kind of didn't manage to do the breakfast thing we really wanted to, but life got in the way.
It did. So, yeah, I hope you're enjoying your Saturday.
This is
No doubt you'll get this on Sunday, so I hope you're enjoying this on Sunday. Nothing more to say, really. So do you want to tell a little bit about what TOC is?
TOC is basically a platform where we can... Okay, right, so it's not a preachy platform. We are aware that there's a lot of problems in the world in terms of consumerism, in terms of capitalism, in terms of how disposable our culture has become. But we're also completely 100% consumers, unfortunately, or fortunately. You know, I mean, there's like two sides to the argument, isn't there? There's like, you know, consumerism fuels people having affordable houses, affordable like lifestyles, blah, 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 blah. But then there's a global price to pay for that. Anyway, we like buying stuff. We've always liked buying stuff. To the point where we probably both decided separately that we needed to make a decision where we were trying to do things in a more conscious manner.
Absolutely.
So.
And also how to guide and just give knowledge really of what the Modern Slavery Act in the UK really means, and how do we bring that into everyday business practice, not just for businesses that are making over 36 million who this applies to, but everyone, and what steps can we take, and you know, just give you those tools, because it's so it seems so complicated, but actually a lot of it is what you should already be doing. It's really just like a guide of, you know, oh
sorry, momentarily distracted by Parker there.
This is Parker, by the way. Parker, say hi.
Say hi, Parky. He's a bit under the weather, he's not feeling the best.
Oh, do you want to say hi?
Say hello, friends.
This is his new Santa Paws.
Santa Paws, Santa's little helper.
1st of December, aren't you?
Yeah. He's not his usual vibrant self, which is a total lie, he's lazy as anything, but
he has been enjoying watching with us the parliamentary debate since the 30th of October from the Environmental Committee.
Just to put this into a bit of context, I am coming from this as more of a consumer, not as an actual professional in the field. My background is completely different from Natasha's, but Natasha is very much coming from this as a consumer and an actual expert in the area. So.
Well, certainly a professional anyway, because you always feel that other people that you work alongside are far more expertise than yourself. But really, where my ethics came into it was in 2005, when I was manufacturing my own label in Glasgow. I received an award from the Lord Provost for Scottish Startup Business of the Year award, producing sleepwear. And when I received that, I remember thinking, I'm a fraud. Like, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. The factory that I was producing in wasn't like, it had to close down. And I really see the same issues that happened back then happening right now in Leicester as well. Yeah. And I can really relate to what's happening in Parliament, and I will fight for factory suppliers, managers, workers, absolutely. For those that like want to change and want to, want to get to the standards that everyone's requesting through the Modern Day Slavery Act. But even the government hasn't given much guidance as to the normal tools. And I know, don't whine, I know, it's terrible.
I mean, Parker is, he can't speak the language, but he can actually
he's like,
disapprove.
What? No.
Vehemently. Disapprove vehemently.
Did that happen?
Did it really happen?
But, we've got great guidance on, minimum wages and health and safety and all those sorts of things, and the supply chain is incredibly difficult, and I'm going on a bit of a rant, but rein me back in, because
it's not transparent. So basically Natasha is the brains behind all of this. I just know how to talk about things, and that's fine. My background is a little bit different. Like I say, I'm a massive consumer. I love, which is not really anything to be proud of, but I love clothes. I like looking good. Well, my version of good, maybe not everybody's version of good. but I studied economic and social history, and being aware, but I did it at a later age, and being aware of the similarities that the third world countries are facing, and not even third world countries, places like Leicester, where the major problem in manufacturing is in Britain, the conditions are actually scarily similar to like a child worker in 18th century Britain. I mean, it's actually scary, quite scary, because there's no regulations, there's no rules, there's no accountability. These people who are making low cost throwaway fashion for people are essentially the match girls of like the 21st century. It is terrifying, and it's terrifying to see something that should have been eradicated actually rearing its head in a country where nobody should be living in poverty. We shouldn't in Britain have food banks. We shouldn't have people that are living like so far below the breadline that it's scary. We shouldn't, in Glasgow particularly, which is where we are at the moment. I've lived in Glasgow all my life. I haven't ever lived anywhere else. I've travelled to other places. I have never seen in my entire adult life, which is now a span of 24 years, the homeless problem that we have in Glasgow now. And it's, you know, it is very sobering, and it makes it even more pertinent that we have to address the problem of exploitation of workers. And that, you know, that should be, I think, the very crux of the Modern Slavery Act. And it isn't. The Modern Slavery Act seems to be a lip service, like blanket cover-all for the factory owners who are basically making money from these people.
Well, no, that's where I would, you know, that's one of the confusions, I think. I don't think it is.
No, I think it's the implementation of it though.
Absolutely,
So,
and I think
it's the manufacturers thinking that having a modern day slavery act or retailers means that they are somehow now exempt from any kind of close scrutiny.
I know we had a discussion this afternoon after watching this Tuesday's last environmental committee, which was, you know, we're really very grateful for all the brands that presented themselves. We can all learn from it, but one thing that we did very much take from that is how reserved the answers are, and also how reserved the knowledge is of the government as well. Is that okay to say? I'm not sure, but
I do think, yeah, of course, and I think that I think when you've got like a multi-million pound business, like, you know, as many fast fashion, in fact all of the fast fashion businesses are multi-million, if not billion-pound businesses, and the fact that
do you need a hug or something? He just keeps going. I think the subject's a little bit sensitive to him. I'm not sure.
Huggy! Oh my goodness!
You know, kids.
Oh, you're so cute. Sorry, that was like ridiculous.
We're definitely not into animal labour or anything.
I'm sorry.
But you know, everyone should pleasure from him. Sorry, where were we?
Oh, you've lost my train of thought.
I know,
that was so
me
fucking
too.
cute. Sorry. Swear about oopsie.
We'll get back to it, no doubt.
I know.
Yeah.
Fuck, what's wrong?
So
having an ethical trade, like, compliance department in your industry doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing best practice. It doesn't mean that you are. It means, you know, if you have a decent employer, or you've got a decent employer with an actual forward vision. I think the thing that we were talking about earlier, particularly with the steering committee, was that it's all very well sitting and saying buzzwords and recognising what you think the people who are questioning you want to hear, but what really needs to happen is it needs one huge player in the industry just to turn around and say, actually, do you know what, yeah, it has been really bad, it has been really unregulated, unmanageable, totally opaque, but now regulations are coming in, so what we all have to do collectively is to be transparent. It just takes one person to say that they know, that they know that it hasn't been, that they've profited, that they profited from other people's misfortune. You don't have to say it in those words, but an actual acknowledgement that...
You're totally right. but I think it also takes understanding from the whole supply chain. There are issues riddled right throughout the supply chain. And I mean, you would never expect a few years ago that you'd be thinking as a consumer, oh, do I need to buy ethically? Like, are these clothes produced, you know, minimum wage and things like that? You would never really think about clothing, or you would, because you were talking about the cotton farming as well. But from consumer to government could definitely, you know, we need to look at all the available resources out there already, because there's some people doing great work in the field, but it needs tweaking. Different auditing programs specialising to really look at minimum wages, because actually minimum wages, you think, oh, people go into audit and find minimum wages. That will absolutely never happen, because in a normal audit you will only be looking at wage slips, and so those wage slips are always going to be saying 783, absolutely. And what they'll do is just reduce the amount of hours, so people are not getting, you know, even though it appears that they're getting minimum wage, they're not. Or another practice is going and getting workers to take £200 out of their account on a Monday.
So where does that, like, I mean, this is
why the whole, you know, people are saying, why does minimum wage
but this
happen?
is what is kind of, like, I would love to understand how, and this is the thing, so I'm a privileged white person who lives in a white, you know, like a very majority.
We are now, though.
Yeah, no, but I'm not privileged at all. When I say privileged, what I mean is I've got basic human rights. I don't have to worry about where my water comes from. I don't have to worry about, you know, dying of not having a vaccination. I've got a health condition, but I get like the best of care. I get like ridiculously expensive drugs delivered to me every 3 months. Like, actually, I don't have to do anything about that. I'm so privileged in that sense. But what I don't understand, and I think this is what's hard for people to really get their head around, is like understanding, if you don't have any empathy, a lot of people in Britain in particular don't have empathy, and it's because you've been fed I mean, not me personally, but I know people who've been fed a narrative about like immigrant workers, I mean, it's all over the papers. It's how the media manipulate people to think of a certain group of people in a certain way. But if you actually thought about what happens in places like Leicester, and you thought about what happens, you know, how can you be forced into taking, as much as I've had jobs that I hate, and I hate the people I work with, and I don't agree with the practices, if they turned to me and said, like, you have to take £200 out of your own bank account after you've been paid it and bring it back to me, I mean, it just wouldn't happen. So to be that downtrodden, and to be that kind of reliant on having a shitty job, is, you know, to most people in Britain isn't understandable. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. Honestly, it's shocking. Honestly, look, even Way Parker, he knows the state.
And this is why, you know, it's like, you know, and at the moment you can't do that, but at some point you will be able to do the thing where you say, well, actually, yeah, this is a widespread practice where somebody gets paid what is meant to be a minimum wage, but then they're forced to take out, like, you know, say, what, like 25% of that wage and give it straight back to the factory owner. You will be able to do that at some point. You can't do it just now.
Oh, look at that piece. A little bit of an overstretch on that one. Well, we didn't know if we'd have anything to say, but obviously we're quite fervent about the issues.
Don't do it, Parker.
But what we have done is also included the 3 links to the last 3 environmental committee debates underneath this video, which were really good. Like, some of them are quite long, but my goodness, it's I think that the whole industry really needs to be exempt from non-disclosures as well.
Absolutely.
Non-disclosure agreements, so we can feel like, honestly, like, for the last, you know, sort of 5 years, I've really walked around every, you know, networking event I've gone to, and you know, really feeling a bit cagey of like what I can say. Quite often I'll just go under a pseudo, so I can just relax and be myself, and learn. It's incredible, the different viewpoints from, you know, people to people, and actually it just needs to take massive understanding all along the supply chain, from the selfiness consumers to the government.
Which is, you know, we're not going to get away from that. That's the world we live in now. We live in even countries, even the third world, or like the non-developed, or the, like, you know, in development countries, all still live by the same Western standard of consumerism. I mean, no, you know, that's a blanket statement, but you can go anywhere and you can say Gucci, and most people will recommend it. Sorry, most people will recognise it. You can say like Nike, most people will understand it, and that's for, you know, that's a worrying thing as well. That's almost going back to colonisation, where you are implementing your Western standards on the entire globe because you think you are more important. And that is, you know, we are facing exactly the same problems in the modern day that we did at the point of industrialisation, exactly the same things. But yeah,
basically things are and they need to change, and you know, we all need a help. It's all of our fault.
I know. And
it's
I guess
it's not one person that's like to fault. Absolutely not. You can't blame it on brands. You can't blame it all on government. You can't blame it all on consumers. We're all playing a part.
I'm of a different persuasion. I do think that most people in society, unless you are very, very wealthy, or unless you have a lot of power, which usually the two are interlinked so closely that you can't tell them apart. I think that most of us that go about our daily life, even people who are like middle class, I mean, and in the late 19th century, the middle class were like the drivers for change in society, and that the only reason for that was that they could afford the trickle down of high-end goods, which then became a little bit more available with industrialisation. So we're all culpable, but we're all also puppets. That's my thought. I mean, we don't have a choice. You don't have, unless you have disposable income, which then means that you've come from a completely different background from most people. Then you don't have a choice. You just have to either, in your everyday life, where you know, you have to go to work, you have to like pay taxes. Of course you have to pay taxes, right? I mean, that's like a given. You have to, you know, you have to slot into like a normal kind of everyday 9 to 5 or similar. Then if you can make little changes in that everyday life, then that's all we can actually do. Like, we can't
and
change
that is what
anything.
We're about.
So
the other choice, the little changes that you can make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we're not.
Yep.
And we're all getting a little bit twisted as well of feeling comfortable where we're buying from and all that sort of thing. And that is why raising awareness and this steering committee from the environmental committee is so important as well, to raise awareness of the issues and really like bring it to the board of directors as well. Make sure that it's an understanding from that level, but where do we take it from there? Where does the education come from? What programs are around? What can we do online? Everything's online.
Yes.
We've got great health and safety guidance.
Yeah, I think, talking about that though, I think one of the worrying things, and is worrying but also you can't get away from it, is that most of the environmental large scale projects that have been undertaken by huge companies, and the only reason that is happening is so they can produce and still be seen to be kind of under the guise of environmentally friendly. So, like,
what do you mean?
Things like, you know, if you're like talking about plastic bags, right? We still produce as much, but I mean we do. It's just that because people think if they pay, like particularly Scotland, we pay.
Do we? I thought we did 50% less.
It's still a huge amount though, isn't it? I mean, it's not
But
eradicating
50%
it.
less is like a lot. Somebody's got patisseries on the table. Je t'aime la patisserie, hein?
Bonjour.
Baga, bonjour, baga, ça va? Ah oui, bien, avec petit.
So so say like a huge company like I don't know, like H&M, right? Huge company like H&M, or I don't know. Like, okay. The worst spy ever. Oh, shit, why did you not just tell me?
It's gone. It's just a
Oh,
crumb.
no.
It's just a crumb.
So embarrassing.
I'll get the prosecco. That should tame her up a bit. Tame her up. No.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Secrets out. Well, I can't remember what we're talking about. She probably can't either. So
I can.
you know,
Excuse me, sorry.
Okay.
I'm that annoying person. But right, I'm that annoying person, but actually, like on a night out, I'm like, what happened?
Very true. She pretty much has no memory after 12.
All my
PM.
memory is like basically taken up with all the stuff that I read during the day.
However, if you catch me between 3 a.m. and 11 a.m, I am on it. Anything after that, I can't answer a question after 11 a.m. I'm ready for, everybody has a different time clock, right? Yeah, so do you know what? Why don't we light the mood a little bit and speak a little bit about
Consumerism. Oh dear. Can't live with it, can't live without it.
Do you know what though? Like, it is really nice even just to place your cushion in a different place sometimes, you know what I mean? So, to have a little bit of sparkle in your life.
I'm going to do like an actual disclaimer here. I don't want any of these presents. If anybody's watching this and you're wondering what to buy me for Christmas, I don't want any of these effing presents.
What are they?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, we've
That
already.
just goes to show how far we've got to go.
Yeah, totally.
Consumerism,
We've already tried to get rid of single-use plastic in our lives. It's very hard, and that
We
isn't an
haven't
excuse.
tried. We've only just
We
started.
tried a wee bit. That's what I mean. That's
we've
what I'm
only
saying.
just
Yeah, but it
started,
is
yeah.
hard. It's really, really hard. So that's fine.
Do you not think we can learn? Maybe we can do something one day of like, what did the generation before us, which isn't that far, or 2 generations before us, what did they do? What did they
Well,
do?
they certainly didn't have a bratty dog. You know what I mean?
I mean, they say that cows give off a little emissions, but
Oh,
what? That can't be good.
No, he's not eating it. He's like, look. Sorry. Don't. He's a very well loved dog. You don't have to worry about him. It's fine.
Don't judge. We are.
And also, I have to disclaimer as well. I'm very sick. I sound terrible. Coughing, whatever. So you can get beer made from leftover bread.
Well, I mean, can you not do that yourself, or what's the
Yeah.
story of that? Well, that's good. That's a good one. Not for us. Don't drink beer, but
Organic oranges. In fact, this
okay,
is
we better stop
Yeah.
because actually it might turn people off doing the right thing.
Yeah, you're like, this is totally shit.
However, how about
Give me the plastic.
And
Fuck
that's
the
the
oranges.
thing. The other thing about TOC is obviously we'll give guidance, and we really hope to bring publicly and privately information to help move people on as well. There's so many great initiatives, and so many people have been
This
doing
is
an amazing
Recycle
time.
China.
What, Recycle China?
No, it's not. I'm a big. Oh. I like buying old stuff. I like it a lot. So I would genuinely have most of my house kitted out in old stuff.
So I know it's probably not like any of us that's watching online that doesn't that shout out to what are the names? The nails? No?
Oh, Swoon Nails.
Sweet
Yeah,
Nails.
sorry.
Shout out to
Like,
Sweet Nails, who in my week off.
But interestingly, right, so Swoon Nails have literally, so Swoon Nails is one of the most talented nail technicians in Glasgow.
Oh
She's
my
won like
goodness. It was the best experience I've
amazing.
ever
Like,
had.
I'm lucky she's one of my friends.
Beauty salon.
So she is a Calgel professional ambassador. So she travels all around the UK, basically because she's so fabulous. Interestingly, they have just introduced biodegradable glitters for the nails, because obviously you never think about things. The nail industry uses glitter every single day.
I'm glad that
every single day.
May I just interrupt? He's not starving. his welfare.
Clearly.
Feed.
Yeah, and
Just
see when it says
because-
camera it's at
Should we
£10.
take these off the table?
Yeah,
Do you want any more
no.
Brussels sprout? Yes, I know. Honestly, this is how guilty things make me. I look at everything and go, where's that come from?
Brussels
I mean,
sprouts.
it's like, you know, we need to have great pleasure and understand that, you know, it's fine.
Have a wee come.
Anyway, hopefully he'll settle down. But let's. So I don't know. This is our first vlog, and I really wouldn't mind. Oh, sorry. Go on.
What?
I don't know. Were you saying anything?
Yeah, I was talking about how this global company who supplies Calgia, and I'm not going to name them because maybe they wouldn't want to be named, but anyway, they supply.
Parker's settling down.
Yeah, they something in that paw. Stop it. They supply professional nail products to loads of like nail techs across the world. So as a global initiative, they have just introduced biodegradable glitter. So which doesn't sound like a big deal, but the nail industry as a whole, when you think about microplastic and you think about pollution, you know, we're all talking about like plastic bags, straws, you know, like takeaway containers, whatever. Nail technicians all over the world, like think about your local high street, think about how many nail salons there are, right? So most of those nail salons probably won't be regulated, they wouldn't, you know, have the same high standards that swoon nails would. They're not going to be using biodegradable glitter, they're using like glitter that is essentially going straight back into the environment and isn't going to be biodegraded for what, like 200 years. So I think that's a pretty cool thing that a company have made the decision and they've publicised it on their social media, they've publicised it everywhere else that they're going, basically all the glitters are now biodegradable. So I think that's cool.
It is. Every step is important because I know that I'm sure that other people are like, yeah, but what about this and what about that? Mm-hmm. But actually every single step you make, you should be proud of.
Yeah.
You know, really, it doesn't matter how small your step is. When we got separate bins for our recycling, right? We only live together, by the way. That's fine. So
Joking.
seriously, so we got 3 bins, and we're really delighted because now actually recycling's become very easy for us. But then we're like, oh, we'd like to like post a picture of them, but where were they made and who made them and all that sort of thing. Okay. So yes, there's
I'm not thinking like that. What I'm thinking
she's
is
not there
that,
yet.
No, that's not that. No, but you're not thinking about the same things that I think about, which is that our infrastructure is not made for us to recycle, not us personally, but it's very hard. Like, so the people who can recycle the best are the people who are least likely to recycle. So not my friends, but yeah, my friends. They have but they're an example. They recycle because it's easy. But so if you live in a detached house in a high council tax area, which in Glasgow, you get 5 bins, right? You get 5 bins. You get your glass bin, you get your plastic bin, you get your paper bin, you get your food bin, and then you get your non-recyclable bin. And the council come and pick them up in their different vans on a different day, take it away and recycle it, right? If you live in a like lower council tax band, like for instance, like we do, you get like a bin and a flat bin.
That's not true.
No, I know, but it's like, but that's a good represent.
But it'd be great to know where that recycling.
But that is a good example of how people with more access to things can make the change. But see, in my experience, those people are the people that are less likely to make any change. If you speak to somebody who is in a higher income bracket, and not everybody, I've got friends who are in a massively high income bracket and they're kind and considerate and thoughtful people, but I've also worked with a lot of people who are in a similar income bracket and who genuinely don't care about where things come from. They don't care about, they don't care about workers' rights, they don't care about sexism. No, but that's.
I don't know, but yeah. There's no discrimination against being an a-hole.
Literally.
And that's, what we really need to start raising awareness with, that ethics and sustainability is not, a hippie word or anything like that. It's just ethics simply is, are you doing the right thing across the board, including health and safety, wages, you know, all the normal things. It's such a, I think it really, you know, we really need to simplify it just so, you know, even I understand. And, you know, how can we do it from all levels? But I think we need to lighten up a bit or have a break and come back tomorrow morning.
Come back tomorrow.
Yeah. That was pretty heavy for the first one.
Bye.
Basically, we're quite product oriented as well, so
we don't have to. It just is
disclose
what
all.
it is. Yeah, I don't want to see you, so you don't. That's what I think.
Well,
So-
we'll soon find out. Anyway, hubba chub chub.
Oh,
One dog and a pug.
Oh,
We pop it. How about we go whoop, boom.